Good morning, Dr. Brad. Love you, man.
Morning, Curt. Forgive my delay for getting my coffee.
Well, yeah, we were just comparing how our coffee stains inside our coffee mugs differ because Brad sips his coffee constantly, and I tend to let it sit and develop rings, and then
Punctuated.
it's punctuated. All right. So now that I've said something embarrassing and silly about us,
Right?
let's go forward. You said you had a couple of things you wanted to mention before we started working today.
The thing that I would mention is this is like watching the news. It's like watching all the days of our lives. It's a story that doesn't go much anywhere. Just keeps on rolling out in a most alarming and unpredictable way. But it doesn't really appear newsworthy. It's like, more just nonsense and trivial nonsense.
Somebody asked me this morning, what was the question? This plays into what you just asked. What's your analysis of the potential for World War III? I said there are three questions. Why do these threats exist? What's the potential for these threats to manifest as war? And he asked a two-part question, sorry. What's the potential for domestic or civilizational reset after World War III? Of course, the inverse order, the potential for reset is really high because
it's certain.
It's certain.
It's just a matter of time. I regard it as the financial system is bankrupt, and they're patching it together, and they're trying to seek a justification for how do we maintain control after we mismanaged ourselves into this hole. That's the only process that's occurring, and everything else is a manifestation of it. And all the chicanery we witness as in the news and around is largely related to managing the narrative so that we stay in control at the reset. The proper term for bankruptcy is reorganization. So it will be reorganized. That's all.
Correct.
And whatever manner of violence is necessary to occur to cause that to come to be is within acceptable limits of the people who are engineering the process.
Oh my God! But yes,
it's awful, isn't it?
It was really elegant and precise. So.
And welcome to my world.
Yes.
Sorry. Wait, know who your friends are, and be very kind to them and help them out, because it's going to be a rough moment, I think.
So, so the reset is true. What's the potential? What are the threats and what's the potential? Well, you got to think of it as the world is still not finished with what we think of as the post-agrarian age. We tend to focus on the Industrial Revolution, but we're not thinking about it as that changed everything, right? The industrial, scientific, technological, medical revolution. And the utility of empires is gone. But the empires had utility in domesticating people, right?
But what occurs to me is the people who are dominating the Western civilization momentarily and the world mostly are imperialists.
Yes, and they
are seeking to harness the energy of the reactionaries to the agrarian revolution that we're discussing to maintain their control and empire. That's what appears to be occurring to me.
How do I get this up there?
Because it's the third world or the non-Western world is reacting to the agrarian revolution of the Westerners. And the reaction is this what we call I call counter colonization is part of that reaction, and the attempt to use that energy to control Western civilization and its sovereignty.
I'll express it as market dynamics, which is that there were the matters that were settled in Europe were unsettled in the rest of the world. And so there's a pent-up desire for the settlement of those differences that's been held in check by the post-war attempt of the US and the West in general, and the broader general, under the post-war strategy to force societies into economic development rather than military expansion, and human rights too. So human rights and internal development rather than expansion. In other words, to end the age of empires, right? And the problem is those borders were insufficient for that purpose. And some elites in China, Russia, Iran, I'm not got to it. Don't cut me off before I get to the West. Those agrarian elites are still in position. And so they have an extractive capacity in those civilizations that they don't want to let go of. The same is true here in the West. We've developed, which I thought you said beautifully a minute ago. My response time of my computer was so slow I couldn't capture it. But that there's this pent-up demand has led to a bunch of people becoming what was originally an effort to bring about the managed ascent of nation states and federations has evolved into a clerisy of empire. And I think that's the correct interpretation, and that we've got to get rid of that.
Well, and they're importing a bunch of underclass for the purpose of dominating the middle class.
Right, of course.
Just now we're clear.
So, God, I just really like that you said that it's the initial
reaction to the agrarian revolution that's being utilized by those who dominate Western civilization to continue and express their imperial ambitions against the middle class of Western civilization as sovereign. As if the history of Western civilization is a capital crime. I should say, as if it were a capital crime.
Okay, repeat that again. I didn't get it.
That was for my English friends who want proper English.
What did they say? What was it?
As if the history of Western civilization were some capital crime.
I don't know how what's the if you were to say as if, you'd have to have a subject, blah, blah,
The
blah.
history of Western civilization
Mhm.
were found to be some capital crime.
By whom?
The elites and the people who are being used, the lower classes from the other parts of the world that are aggrieved by the agrarian revolution that Western civilization brought to them. Their reaction is that was a capital crime and we're going to get you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to say it, to be honest.
Sorry to, I'm having my usual, if Zoom is running, nothing responds.
That's nice. We're going to work today, yeah?
Yes, we are, sir.
I'm so excited. The pamphlet must go on.
Yeah, that's the next thing I want to talk about. Almost done, Brad. Immortalizing you in quotes.
Your kindness is unlimited. I'm quite certain.
Oh, stop.
Stop it. Stop it.
Am I quoting Amanda? Okay, so say I don't want to save you the drafts. I want you to post the fucking thing. All right. Anyway, reset.
Right?
I was looking forward this morning to working this morning, and so I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Oh, again, my faculties keep coming back, so and thanks to you for doing that. Not that it's, you know, there's other people involved here, but you know, you're the patient, the patient's patron saint of lost causes. So anyway, in working this week, I had the chance to go back and say, how did this come about? I was comparing the slides and our work, and I was looking at it from the context of what's really missing that we would have to tell people. In other words, everybody, I have so many people asking me, how do I get into the work? And I'm like, it's all up there. Just watch the videos. Right? I mean,
Good luck with that.
yeah. Are you saying good luck with part of it, right? All right. But there's a couple of things that I noticed. One is that, as you and I've discussed, there's really only one video that's missing, which is the influence to coercion arc, because we have from elites upward, and we have up to acquisition, right? But we don't have the middle T. In other words, eats upward and all the way to civilizational strategies. We have all that video.
Right.
But what we don't have is in the middle is the humans organized by 3 means of coercion.
Okay.
Right. And I was thinking of this
Social organization.
Right. So what I was thinking about that was in terms of what are the computational methods. I'm going to go to too many branches. Forget what I'm saying.
Interesting.
The computational methods that are available are, of course, physical determinism, right? Sexual reproduction. These are the increases in computation, natural selection, and cooperation.
Yes.
And that's we have to get that arc across, right? That arc has to come across. And it has to come across in what we're doing here in the pamphlet. And
I think it will be a good break to put it between the right before the behavioral sciences, that little arc.
Yes.
That would be just.
Okay, so let's try to do that today.
Right? We can do that in probably 90 minutes.
I think so.
But I think you should tell the people that it's the 17th of February and we're working on the pamphlet in this working session since they want to know such things.
Oh, wait, but I got to forget what the hell I'm talking about. So you can remember that for me and I'll say
I already did it.
Oh. Turning into the Punch and Judy show. I think I'm Judy.
As long as I get to be.
I think I'm Judy. So, yeah, talk about domestic violence. You know,
my Lord,
I saw that when I was a kid, and it was just like, and I'm like,
brutal. It's brutal. I'm gonna put that in my book, Punch and Judy, because it's like I want to post some of that on X just because it's good stuff, man. Sorry for the.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose track of what I was doing anyway.
No, so, you're working on the middle piece.
All right, so I was working on this, and I'm thinking, well, if we look at the videos, we're only missing that one bit. And so I'm going through these videos, and I'm saying we're really just missing that bit. And I bet Brad and I could pull that off in
90 minutes.
1 and 3 videos. And that would take this huge burden off of me of these people asking. I really would like to say, look, it's this arc, right? It's its arc. It's these principles, and it's these videos. And
Well, if we make that video that covers that arc,
yep,
that tells the entire story.
yes,
That's like the encapsulation of the entire story, which is contained in the bigger
yes,
volume, which is the pamphlet, which is contained in the bigger volume, which is the science,
yes.
and then culminates in the legal constitutional.
Right. And I just feel like, and to tell you part of what inspired me, you hate when I'm sappy like this shit.
Uh-oh.
But you and I had a lot of fun making those videos.
Oh yeah.
And it's really obvious when we're having those videos. And I'm comparing that to the work we do today, which is it's analytic, right? I mean, you don't get to do stuff like pick on the elites when we're talking about, evolutionary computation and assemblies and whatever. I mean, there's no room for joyous exercise of our frustration with the current order, right? There's just no room for it.
That's right.
So I thought it would be fun to maybe set up where we spend a day recording at least one of the. I mean, I don't know how many it's going to take, right? It
That's
feels
right.
to me like it's a video, but maybe it's 3 videos, right? Maybe
They
it's
could be short ones, because
right,
I think
exactly.
shorter is probably better.
I agree. So I'd kind of like to set that up going in the future if you wouldn't
Absolutely.
mind, right? So because that would just be so much use to be able to say, look, it's freaking over there. And then I think you're right. We have to add that the arcs video, and maybe it's useful to do more than that one arc,
Right.
right? And just say, here's some arcs that we rely on all the time,
Yes.
and they are just descriptions of.
Well, it's just like a stratospheric view of the process from different angles.
Makes it easier to build a Christmas tree to hang the ideas on.
That's right.
I think the other thing I talked to you the other night about, Brad is very kind to call me at night at the end of his workday, and we usually talk for a bit. And so the other thing I came to think about, which I brought up, was how freaking important the grammars are. And the problem is I was, like I said before, you always laugh. He's
I'm laughing now, man.
he's laughing ahead of time because I always thought the grammars was obvious, right? I mean, it was, but it's not.
It's
not.
bedrock.
It's
Bedrock.
really important, right? Because of course, I think of language as dimensions, right? I mean, I think of it as
Right. So this is interesting. So it's like this. It's such bedrock that you mention it. You don't need to explain it, but you can mention it and describe the glyphs in the rock. Is all you have to do as an introduction to what we're talking about in the most general sense, right? It's like, look, this is how the grammars work. Then you move on to the next subject, which could be this, the primary arcs of human interaction,
Right. So
then
go ahead.
Yeah, but then you're just provide the overview is the encapsulation of all of it that follows as an introduction. And a detailed you'll see it woven throughout the piece as you go, and it may be detailed in some fashion inside there, but the overview is just this compressed version, which is here's what you're going to get.
Yeah, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. The grammars are up there in the method, right? So they're already up there, right? The thing is that I'm still astounded. My comment is how I take it for granted, right? I take this for granted, yet I'm not sure that isn't like why I'm able to comprehend the world.
I would say that that's probably true. And it's just my job to cause you to illustrate each lily pad you skipped in the process.
Yeah, well, which you're good at.
It's like, good God, Curt, how'd you get over there? It's like, oh, there's these lily pads that I thought everybody saw too.
Yeah. My mother programmed too much Catholicism into me.
Oh my.
I would have been much faster getting this done if I were an even more arrogant prick than I am now.
I'm gonna have a drink to your mom.
All right. All right. So it's what I was really doing is asking your permission to maybe we make a few more videos,
Oh,
right?
carry on.
Like that. All right. Because we both clearly have fun doing them,
Oh yeah.
but they will fill that hole. And if we could do just those, which would not be an abusive amount of time, because we know all the material, right? It's not like anything. You just have to produce the slides and
That's right.
through them. Not even sure the slides don't exist. They probably do. So if we could do that, then I'd be joyously happy about it. All right.
Good.
Now today, I want to work on the thing we just mentioned, which is the arc, right?
Right.
Adding that to it. And yes, that's where it goes. You're right. That's probably where it goes, right? Is after we do the introduction. Because we have this section that says, all right, from the physical world, this is basically how everything works, right? And then we go into the life world, and then the behavioral world, and then the evolutionary world, right?
That's right.
Right. So I would like to work on that today. And I want to work on that because it gives us a specific goal to work on within the context of what I've been working on in it this week.
Yes.
Right? And what I've been trying to do is and I did not finish it yesterday. I mean, I did not write it down yesterday. I thought about it all day, but I didn't write it down all day. I truthfully slept almost all day yesterday. But in the few hours I wasn't sleeping, I thought about this, which is that I want to draw a diagram of these relationships, like a hierarchical diagram, these relationships, the terms we're using.
Yes.
Like I do for the terms in the concepts in the slides, because it's actually hard for me to hold them in my head, right? And
Oh yeah.
and so I want to do that so we can build a model, because I think we have to describe that model better, because it's too much burden on working
That's right.
as it is. So I've gone through and I've tried to clarify and add to this whole thing through assemblies, right? And etc.
Right.
And the where we are with assemblies is that tells us how things work together themselves, but evolution's what tells us how the environment they work in.
That's right. It's the universal function.
Right. So we have sort of three topics in mind today. Let's try to add that arc. That'll get us started, because getting started, mounting all this stuff up in your head is work. I bet we can do that. And then if we have this stuff in our heads, maybe we can look at this process and say, okay, this is making sense. How do we make sure that that arc is visible at all stages in this development? In other words, I want to make sure people begin to see its formation
Right.
through the physics before we get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I say the physics acts as a template to tell us the processes, and we see how it continues to operate in human scales in life and behavior.
Right. this changes my framework a little bit, because I was trying to do before, during, and after, which was physical, behavioral, and evolutionary. But
Okay.
what it means is we have to do physical, and does life go in physical, or does life go as in behavior?
It's like an intermediary state.
Right. And
I think that we show how the physical operations of assemblies occurs in life, and that will make it easier to understand how it occurs in behavior.
right. So we get cooperation physically, cooperation in life, cooperation through selection, and cooperation through cooperation, right? I mean, and then we have cooperation through abstractions like the pricing system and rules and things like that, right? So we go up this scale, and we
Right,
can
the scales of cooperation.
right. And I think that's a better model than the way I was looking at it before. I think that I was trying to fit into the model, and I don't think it worked. I mean, it was bothering me, right?
Therefore, it was not quite on.
This isn't quite right.
It requires too much strain to hold it together.
Yeah, it doesn't paint it. The before, during, and after is true.
Oh, so what we would do is we would do this as it is before, during, and after, because it's like it's it's cooperation, right?
Yeah,
It's all cooperation, but I think we add uh, a word of descriptive word before each level scale of cooperation, so that you go, it's physical cooperation, it's biological cooperation, and it's sociological cooperation, and then abstract cooperation.
correct. I think that's exactly right.
And then it
Expand a
divides
circle.
and
Expand a
yet
circle.
encompasses, right?
Yes, that encompasses and also becomes a circle, because, right, the abstract cooperation, it's all just the same thing. The only difference is how much computation can you do?
That's right.
How much information can you process?
So there's scales of computation, right?
Correct.
And so I think we divide it, because see, this is what Quigley did with capitalism. He divided it into 3 or 4.
Okay.
And
Remind me, because it's not coming to me.
so he's talked about the development of commerce capitalism, then corporate capitalism,
Yes.
then monopoly capitalism. Thank you for bringing yourself back into focus, Curt.
Monopoly capitalism. Yes.
There you go, monopoly capitalism.
So this behavior, again, is universal. Right? It's a natural, all it is the process, evolutionary computation manifesting in all aspects of life, because all these things are doing is we think cooperation is an anthropomorphic term we use, but all these things are just cooperating at different scales of complexity, given what planes of causality and systems of computation are available at those planes of causality.
That's right. So there's something to say about the limits there.
Mm-hmm.
The limits of computation and causality, which we talked about in assemblies to some degree, but I don't think we were explicit about it.
It's in the evolution section, I think.
Okay, that's good. That should clarify it well.
Can I thank you again? So much easier to do this with you than it was by myself.
Good.
Despite the fact that I'm Judy in the Punch and Judy show. I mean, I gotta.
I haven't seen it for so many years that I don't recall their rules.
Violent as hell.
Yes,
Kicks
yes,
his
quite
wife's
violent.
ass all the time.
I think Judy has a bat.
Well, the thing is that, okay, so like, this is true story. My aunt, who's deceased, I think, yes.
Say it again.
My aunt, my
Yeah.
aunt, I could talk like the rest of the country, call her an aunt, but I'm a proper New Englander. I was raised with the English language. It's an aunt, right? Sorry, I had to just throw that in there, see if I could get something started. Anyway, my aunt was married a guy who was like many women who are need too much attention, uh, violent. And he was bad on the kids and he was bad on her. So one day, of course, he really hurt her. And
Oh,
of course, my father and his brothers went over there and had a fucking conversation about how you don't hit women. His father never hit my mother. He was just a fucking asshole, right? And so, and I remember this as that's how those things were done.
that's right.
I mean, and neighbors would come over and say, if you touch your wife again, we're going to hurt you. I remember that world. I'm only 64 years old, almost 65. I know I act like I'm 14, but I really do. I really am.
He saved me from saying it.
Yeah, they beat you to the punch. Um, so this stuff wasn't allowed. We had a guy in our neighborhood who was, what do you call it, having sex with his daughters,
Oh my.
right? Right. So
Yeah,
you could get away with this stuff because it was more invisible then,
that's right.
but it existed. But the difference was the policing was violence from the neighborhood or the family. And that's the violence of I know you, not the violence of due process,
Right.
right? Which is absolutely a superior form of prosecution, right? Um, so my father and his brothers went over and had a conversation. If you knew my father, you do not want to have that
You don't want to have that conversation
That's
with
like
him.
a fucking gorilla, 800-pound gorilla telling you, you just don't want to have that conversation. So, and my uncle's no small guy either. I mean, I take it from my grandfather, but my uncle, my father, they're not small guys. Um, so that happened, and so you look at the Punch and Judy thing is, I didn't view that like the modern women do as
Huh.
advocating violence. I saw that as being aware, using a device, which is what comedy does, right? To make us aware of what can happen and that it's not okay,
That's right. It's puppetry
right?
to tell a story.
And so this whole infantilization thing is just driving me nuts lately. I mean, the more I see it, the more, I must say every day, it's just women. And nobody wants to fucking hear that, right? That's just the most painful reality to deal with, that it's just women. That's
This
women.
is
The
going
Satan
back to
movement is just women. The woke method is just women. It's just women.
it's goes back to that video that I watched yesterday that you recommended by the young lady who was talking about this problem. And it's like I say, I want her to talk to us at one of our conferences because I think that's a useful message and meshes well with our work. Freya, I believe, is her name, just for the record.
Very good. I mean, I thought that was, I mean, she was clearly scripting it, right? It was scripted. And so she was reading. But I gotta tell you, there was no fluff in that. That is the short, clear, correct, unapologetic, but unacerbic method of describing the problem. And it's challenging to me because I keep hearing all this. The West is falling. Well, our women are failing.
Well, it's like this, and it goes to which what I wanted to bring up moments ago, Malleus Maleficarum, which is there's a chapter which is why we talk about the witches and not the warlocks, which is the sorcerers. There are few sorcerers encouraging the witches to misbehave, to cause the damage they want in the public eye.
Yes.
And the women are being misled, and that's the problem.
Yes.
All right, Curt, you ready to work?
I am. I think I got my my questions answered. 1 second here. Want to make sure. Um, all right. All right. Now, okay, so we're going to go to screen sharing. I'm only
I
going
want to say before we begin that I find it interesting that your questions, we agree on the answers, and they seem to be self-answering, given the
Well,
science.
I'm a career CEO and I'm used to running board meetings. When you run a board meeting, if you've managed things right, everyone agrees with you. And if you're not certain about anything, you posit a question so that the other people feel comfortable telling you you're full of shit. And God knows you're comfortable telling me I'm full of shit.
Oh my.
So I've just self-indoctrinated myself into here is the problem I see, or you guys have given me this problem. This is my understanding of the problem. This
Right.
is what I think the answer is, or I would like to do this, and if I can't, and I would like to know you. And if I can't fucking convince you, it's probably not a good idea. And once in a very rare while, I say, yeah, you guys can't get it, and I can't get it across to you, so we're gonna have to do it anyway, right? But you
Right.
can't. Those are magic bullets. You don't shoot those very often.
That's right.
And I know it's hard to imagine me as a serious CEO, given how you know me, but it is quite possible.
It can happen.
I found that, sorry, I should get back to work here. I found it's been interesting to me as I've sort of gotten better over the past few months, is that I'm not that person anymore. And a lot of it's the work.
Yes.
It's amazing to me. I'm just not that guy anymore. And I wonder if that seems to be true for everybody. If you get into the work enough, it's transitional for you.
Yes. Transformational. Yeah.
And is it just clarity? Is it just the clarity, the comprehensibility, the clarity?
No, it's interesting because I had an interaction with a fellow yesterday that was of a nature of this type, which was he brings me a paper to fill out to help him get his something for his work. He wants to be able to work, and he wants me to sign a paper that says this thing about this medicine. And he didn't do the referrals that I asked him to do in the interim. So I asked him quite sharply, I said, why do you expect me to help you when you're not helping me help you by doing what I asked you to do to help me? And he just came back with this weird little grunt, and I'm like, yeah, that won't work. I'm not giving you your paper until you go do the thing I said to do, and then we'll talk about it. But I wouldn't have done that before because it's too confrontational. But I'm like, I'm not putting up with your nonsense. I'm not going to facilitate your misbehavior. And I would not have done that. And
Why is that? Yeah, I'm curious. Why do you think so?
because you're trying to be conciliatory and help people get where they want to be, and he wants to be in a place that he doesn't want to do the work to get to. And I'm like, no, you're going to do the work.
Mm,
So it's like I refuse to infantilize him in that
yes.
way, or encourages infantilization, self-infantilization,
Hmm.
and that's okay. And like I say, it cut through a lot of red tape. I'm like, oh, that was good. And I do attribute it to the work, because it's like, okay, I see what's going on here, and I short circuit the problem.
How much is because I'm noticing this with everybody, and I'm noticing how it's propagating out through the right wing, right, which is the responsibility thing. How much it is are we, I mean, I wonder, did you think in terms of, or feel in terms of res responsibility, not only on your part, but on his part?
Well, yeah, he's failing in his responsibility, and therefore I'm encouraging him to fail, or I'm encouraging him not fail.
Hmm.
And I had the choice at that moment, and I took the short one, which is, you got to do work here, because I'm not doing it for you
Hmm.
to make you happy, to feel better.
Hmm.
That was the essential nature of that, and it was intuitive. It wasn't constructed out of thought.
Okay. All right, boss. Thank you very much for that side.
Yes,
Read.
sir.
All
Now
right.
we share the screen,
Now we share the screen. I gotta make sure I have my ducks in a row here.
right?
Minimize that. We're gonna go over to the pamphlet stuff, and here we are. And I wish I had a little more performance this morning. There we go. And then we're gonna go pamphlet. There we are. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Maybe we'll activate ChatGPT. And then somewhere is the Zoom button.
Uh-oh.
Share screen. Did you see patients this morning?
I did. I saw 20. I did quite well. I woke up 2.5 hours later than I would have preferred, but that I slept well and had some interesting dreams,
Because you seem to be full of vim and vigor this morning.
Mustache wax.
That's what it is. God, we've got to understand the magical properties of mustache wax. All right, can you see defense, persistence, loss
Yes,
prevention?
sir.
All right. All right. Boom. All right. So let's go to, remember what we're looking at here. So we've got existence, right? Then
Yeah.
we go to causality, then time, then accumulation. Just trying to get the first principles down.
Beautiful.
Recombination,
Hmm.
right? Assembly, right, which goes through components, assemblies, and what's the last one? Assemblies, assemblage, ensembles. All right. And then we go to how long these are. I did we do this last time, or did I think I filled it in. I think I filled in
Filled it in.
right. You'll notice I got this narrative section here. Then I've gone to domains of determinism or markets. And then at the economy of causality, and where's down here? Then you go up to the economic scale, which is the competition between markets,
Yes.
right? And we decided we sort of would end there. And then we don't have to, we could, then we could roll into evolution, which includes the competition, the exhaustion, the limits, which you brought up a little bit ago.
Yes.
Emergence from limits, right? And then this is where I was talking about the stages that we mentioned, the arc.
Yeah.
And then we summarize with evolutionary computation, and we summarize with, excuse me, then it should be ternary logic somewhere down here. Right?
Yes.
The ternary logic, right? And then we summarize with your beautiful reduction, right?
Yes.
Right, and we close it, all right? And in that sense, we've covered the arc. What I felt we needed to do today was this part on this arc,
Okay.
right? And there were a few things I wanted to mention. I did go through and add these narratives. And I'm not confident that this is the right answer. I just tried it.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, there's a bunch of definitions
Yes.
and then an explanation.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
Right. And so I went through and I made those explanations. So what I've been trying to do is that if I knew better what I was trying to say, I would say it in a more organized fashion. But I'm trying doing the best I can. So just as we're trying to bring in these concepts together in level and in increases in computation, right? Right. I'm trying to unite the two systems that the two frameworks, which I consider the two sciences of primary science, the two sciences other than grammars, which is the physics and the economics.
Yes.
And so I want to bring
That's interesting.
those two together in this, which is why I brought in.
Yeah, I like that.
Right. So just as we've unified cooperation across all scales by the anthropomorphic analogy, I want to unify the physics and behavior with because those are the only, other than the grammars, that's the only two models.
So we would call it, you talk about there, I like this first sentence. The first phrase, recursion of stable relations between stable equilibrium operating in adversarial competition in time. That's a definite definition of markets.
Yes.
Competitive marketplaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you mentioned that in there, that shows economics.
Right. And so what I was trying to do this week is that unification.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
All right. God. You start out with, and then you agree with me. So
Which is an interesting function because it's like, it's another anthropomorphism we're bringing into to bear at all levels, and that does go through all the levels.
Right.
So it's markets in everything, really, literally.
Right. And so
I think we define them the same as the cooperation, which is physical, biological, and social.
say that again. That was smart.
So we have markets. There are physical markets, there's biological markets, and social markets.
And extra social markets, which are pricing system
Abstractions.
abstractions.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is get enough of that down so that we can go through the whole thing and say, okay, have we made the connection here? We made the connection here. We made the connection here. And because we have these two frameworks of physics, and we have this framework of economics, right? And we have this framework of evolution, right? Is that wrong? I'm watching you.
No, it's yeah, it's operation of evolution.
Right. So I just look at it as, is this really two bothers me? 3 points should make a line. What's the line that we're describing here? Is it the grammars, the physics, the behaviors? Because and why are we trying to unite? Why do we need to unite the economic and the physical? Is because we want to show they're the same, right?
Economics operates at all scales.
Correct.
And so it's necessary to show to show cooperation on the physical was anthropomorphism.
So
and descriptive.
right.
And the same way applies to economics.
Right. So economics is a more general rule. In other
It is
words,
the most general pattern of behavior in all scales.
okay. Thank you. So that's the
Which is it, and I would say this, it operates at all scales, but each plane of causality has its own economics.
yes. Why is that? That's because it's the verb. Yes.
Right.
Evolution
It's
is
the agreement that is reached, right?
right. The verb, and say that again.
It's the agreement that is reached between the operating parts.
Right. So you have the physical world, the behavioral world, which is the noun, the verb, which is the behavioral world, and the agreement, which is evolution. Agreement, disagreement, right?
Right.
Right. So it's test, sorry, just the test. All right, so that was the problem I couldn't put into, I was having difficulty putting into words, is that economics is the most general rule.
So we would just do the same thing with the cooperation. So physical economics, biological economics, and social economics.
Right. So we even get neural economy in there and everything.
Yes,
right?
yes. Neural economy will be biological economics.
So what are we really doing then? Saying that economics is the model that we project. Yeah, because it's the supply demand, right? I mean,
Right, my neurons can only but work so fast.
okay, this is what's been, so that's what's been frustrating me this week is I'm like, how do we make this work? But it's not complicated. We just state it. Right. You know, we just state it openly is this is what we're doing. Right. So state openly what we. is
declaration, right?
say that again. What about declaration?
It's just a declaration.
All right. So where's the where are we going to do this here?
Which I like economics, because we go back up top again there where you were, which is a little bit further there. Economics, where you just made that editorial note.
Yeah, I know. There it is.
So it's like it's accounting. Is what you're calling computation is the same as accounting. How does the universe account? Right? That's computation. To keep, how does the universe keep accounts, right?
Yes.
Do
Right.
make it.
So this is another example of continuous versus discrete. Okay. Well, that solves the big problem that I wanted to talk about. Now, where do we put this? What?
That's a harder question. I think that's right before
We have it here.
right?
Right, this does the
This is this within, what section is this within?
This is within evolution. I think this is the end of evolution. So we
Now,
go,
where do we talk about computation?
I think where do we talk about computation? I don't know. Where do we talk about it?
Because this is what the entire story is about, right? So we mention it quite early on and throughout. So I think that the question, this is the most general question which you're answering with this pamphlet. How does the universe keep accounts? And we're accounting for everything in the universe, so universal accounting, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think what you just said is that we have to get across we have to get across economy, physical process, economic model, and explanation of how they result in evolutionary computation.
That's right. And so what I'm going to say is this, is that's the problem statement for the entire work.
Mm-hmm.
Because however absurd it may sound, that's what this work does. We describe how the universe keeps accounts in its entirety, as far as human beings are concerned. And so it should go before everything as an introductory piece. And we will show all these things as it follows. Which is kind of funny. It's like, okay, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we haven't already said it, and it's just that we cover so much material that we've forgotten.
That's a possibility I will not ignore. And I will not claim better understanding and comprehensive accounting for everything we have written.
Everything we have written is everything that can be written, which is, of course, a really weird way of looking at the world. Okay, so let's go back to this.
Okay.
Come on, you can do it. Hmm.
Uh-oh.
The whole system is not happy. You know, what the hell's going on there?
That's interesting.
Not be having this much problem. I just don't know what's going on there. All right, so here we are. We got our summaries of the people intended audience, value of the pamphlet. What will they get out of it? We know that. Scope of the work, the videos. What should we do next? What is our goal? Blah, blah, blah. Find the problem. First principle of the universe. Evolutionary computation turned into logic. That's okay. You don't want to correct that for me? Yeah, it's not, that's, we don't. Yeah, but we're not, that's, we should describe what we're doing here. Process includes, um, should we say that here that we're at the most abstract level, what we're trying to do is use economics as a scale independent framework?
But how I'm saying this in my understanding of it is that human beings lack a comprehensive understanding or a comprehensive paradigm to understand universal processes at all scales of complexity. And we are providing an understanding for the method by which the universe keeps all accounts and operates. And this is what we're providing.
Humans lack a universal paradigm. Go ahead.
To understand how the universe keeps accounts at all scales. That's what you're providing with this work.
Mhm.
And I would say it's a method. It's the method by which the universe keeps accounts at all scales.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll understand it.
Huh. Why, that's okay. Let's say physical, biological, and behavioral.
Mhm. Biological.
Yeah. Social. Yeah, that's fine. You could do it that way. It's in time and overtime.
Mhm. What'd you say? What'd you say about time?
in time and over time.
Yeah, why?
Wait, what's the why for?
Why do we use economics? Well, because we do it because it, it can include choice, but it doesn't need to include choice.
That's right. Necessity and choice. Because causality includes both necessity and choice. Hmm. We'll put preference in there, I suppose. That's choice, huh?
Mhm. Bias doesn't need to be conscious. Choice does.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Just. IFIA ability. IFIA ability. Thank you very much. Where's the ad? Thank you.
Right.
Trying
Fix that understanding and I'll be happy.
to find it.
It's up a little bit. There it is. There you go. Oh my. Just making sure I'm on the top of my game.
For some reason, just have to.
You just got to test.
It's just got to be done. I think this is what we're doing here. So here's how.
There you go. That was it. That was the right place.
Now there's a problem here. I'm going to make a note, right?
Where's the problem?
Not a problem. So, note. So, prior to science, the scientific revolution
However,
Hmm?
I said, however, it should have an apostrophe in it.
Killing me. So,
I'm gonna get us some long stem pipes to smoke while we drink our Guinness and chat about fire about these things with long cone head hats.
I would pay money for that video. I don't know if it was that big.
Is something on the order of, that's fair enough. It can be quite deviant from that and be okay.
Mhm.
Ah, this is what Greg Enriquez talks as the Enlightenment gap.
Mhm.
H
Mhm.
Enriquez.
H. Enriquez?
No, Enriquez with an H.
Oh,
I would call, he says the Enlightenment gap.
the de-enlightenment?
The THE. I will clarify my diction, sir. Sorry. There you go.
It was just where I put the
I missed it.
doctor, prof.
Yeah, he's a professor. So end parentheses.
What universities was he with?
He's with George Mason University, I believe. I'll check. I'm checking. James Madison University. My apologies.
Where is it?
James Madison University. It's in Virginia, Harrisonburg, Virginia. Hmm.
I don't know about essay the observable.
what's interesting about that is it's like this is if you look at the understanding is that the people at the low end of the underclasses demonstrate increased intelligence by operating within that paradigm, despite the fact that they don't need to understand it.
Okay, this is important.
It's a note that's definitely noteworthy.
Yeah, I don't want to say it that way. I mean, those who,
But those who benefited from it significantly need not understand the paradigm merely, but benefit by merely operating within that paradigm. I think you can get rid of however. Oh, now I want you to save it.
I just did.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it. It was behind your little window that has your nice smiling face. So then I think you need a third paragraph. Hmm.
Okay, so what's the paragraph?
It goes, I guess it doesn't need it because you're saying it in the next one, what we are creating, right?
I don't think we've answered this.
You don't think we have?
No, I think this needs to be answered.
Okay, so you want a paragraph or a?
Yeah. Yeah, what's going on?
Okay, so we have a multitude of theories that are inconsistent and incompatible and lack a common system of measurement between them to account for human behavior. The current state of psychology, sociology, anthropology, politics, and religion.
This is what we gotta say. Yeah, what you just said.
Compelled, we are compelled. It's just a sod sickness. I must work with you, Curt.
That's what we need to say.
That's it. That's a nice little frame to start.
Yeah,
Right?
That's quite nice. Get rid of that. That isn't true anymore. And we're gonna go down here and we'll finish this off. I need to get some more ice cream, water and coffee.
Water.
I'm gonna pause. I hate that I can't find this freaking thing.
Hey, it's like work. You see, you're programming yourself poorly. I want to complain.
What?
Self-hypnosis is becoming obstreperous.
By the way, if you don't
Do
understand,
it, Curt. You will do it.
This is one of Brad's most amazing talents. Is his stoicism isn't just personal. It will be projected upon you.
I will oppress you with it.
You will oppress me by saying no. You can't. Don't talk yourself into being a loser. There was only victory to be had.
I find it to be tiresome, Curt.
Hold on. I gotta. Oh wait. So you fuck. So when he first started doing it to me, I was just sort of offended, but it was like, Jesus, dude, calm down. You know, I'm just prattling away here.
God, man, I'm just trying to do my job.
But I've grown to love it. You know. Well,
it's a sign of maturity, Curt.
What?
It's a sign of maturity and responsibility.
I don't want to grow up. There's no point in it.
I understand.
There's nothing good about adulting. I could be
looking up wizard hats.
All right, I'm going to pause the recording for a minute so I can get some more coffee.
Coffee time. Empty.
Well, you know, clean the cup while you're at it.
Oh my.
I'm not going to clean mine either, so don't worry.
All right, then. We'll be on the same page. We're back.
We're back. We have fresh coffee. So you were going to say some witticism.
I know. I had a witticism that I wanted to share for the audience. Because it's like this, Curt. This interaction that we have, this production that we're doing, is what I had hoped college would be like. And they failed me miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, and we're doing it, and that makes me happy. It's a fulfillment of a dream that I had as a young man and was thwarted.
Yes. And I this fast, you know, I would say that my art school experience, whereas I went to an art history, art theory school, right? You had art theory, you had art history, and you had craftsmanship, right? These were three things, right? You had to do film and pottery and printing and sculpture and, you know, drawing and painting. I mean, you learn all those things, and I value that. I don't say it often enough, but it's very precious to me. The
yes.
fact I have all those skills. So that when I look at art, the appreciation for it isn't just my interpretation of it, it's the constitution that went into it, right?
Right.
So you see the beauty of it. It's sort of like any other field where when you see somebody who's a great craftsman or artist or whatever it is at their field, and you look at it and say, fuck, that was good, right? That
Yeah.
that person knew what they were doing, right? So anyway, I got lost there. Oh, the education thing, education. So you go to your craftsmanship education. I lost it. I forgot. I lost it.
So I said that this is what I wanted college to be like.
Oh, yes. So the thing that happened in the school I went to is because you're in theory, essentially what you're doing for 3 to 6 hours a day is critiquing art in this form. And it's the most fucking rewarding experience. And you can get it you could, I don't know if you think you can anymore, but you could get it in undergrad, which is essentially the philosophy of art. I mean, essentially what you're discussing. But the philosophy of art ends up being the philosophy of fucking everything. So, I mean, everything important to man. So, and the problem is you can't get that until you're in a grad school in any other discipline. When my view was like, why the fuck don't we do, which is what your argument would be, why the hell aren't we doing everything like this? I'll tell you why, is because only 10% of us are able to do it. And as they can't run, they have to filter 90% of the college people out and put you into grad school classes before they can do that.
That's because they use college as high school now.
Yes. I don't know if you see I publish this data every time somebody comes up with a new version of it. I just stay on message that, the IQ of a college person now is irrelevant. I mean, a college degree doesn't mean anything anymore. It doesn't mean you're smart or capable or skilled or anything. And especially if you're in one of the women's disciplines. I don't want to say that too loud.
I will say this: there was we had a medical student rotate through our clinic when we first started out, and he went to medical school in Mexico. And he says, "You know the name of my medical school? What? Got $8,000?" That's what he called it. And it's like, okay, I get it. Say no more.
Hold on a second.
It was just worthy of a shaking of the head. Not even a chuckle.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about him in a minute.
I just did check an alert I just got.
It's alarming, is it?
No, there's just I missed a meeting.
You're sharing your screen, by the way.
Oh, I don't want to do that at all.
No.
I'm sorry.
So you're still sharing. There you go.
I'll check that out later. I missed a meeting Thursday night.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I get into my stuff and the bleeps can come up and show me and I'll not.
That's why I call you.
Yeah, I know. That's why you call me. Unfortunately, it feels very irresponsible.
It's not. It's just the issue is the scattering of attention.
Yes. Well, it's why I said I've always had an assistant and a
So
wife.
it's the ultimate commodity, and this is from the work here, which is the ultimate commodity is human attention.
That's right. You become a very dangerous thinker.
No, that's why I hang with you. I only hang with dangerous people.
Jesus. All right. So I was thinking about, here I am with my ice, right?
Yes.
I have to drink a lot of water because I have a little kidney. I don't want my kidneys to get worse. So I drink a lot of water, right? And so, it also seems to make me feel better when I drink a lot of water. So I drink a lot of water, but I like it to be ice water, right? It's just one of those things. And I like it to be fizzy if that can be that, right? So anyway.
Nicer.
And so the problem I've had is like, I'm such a stubborn idiot, I have one ice cube tray.
Okay.
So as soon as I empty an ice cube tray, I have to fill it and put it in.
Yes.
It's the other day, I'm like, why do I mean, what is an ice cube trade? $1.99, I mean, right?
Right, I can afford a second one.
I mean, it's just, why,
Much less an actual ice maker.
it's more like, why didn't I do this already? Right? It's because it doesn't raise itself to the level of something I should think about, right? I
It's
mean,
not a necessity.
I have all these other things in my head. I'm not going to think about that, right? So for some
Hmm.
reason, I thought about it. So I ordered 4 ice cube trays the other day.
Oh, I was going to order some for you myself.
So I've got
That
so
saves me a lot of trouble.
I know, yeah. Well, I would buy a bag of ice every once in a while, right now, and keep it in the freezer. But anyway, so it reminds me of this line from True Lies that I go through because it's a
Wait, we are recording, yeah? Yeah.
yeah, it's from this the movie True Lies, which is one of those Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom, whatever his
Yes.
name is. Um, and it's this, typical action movie. But there's this line that Tom says, he's talking about his divorce, and he says, "What?" And how his wife cleaned out the house and took all the stuff, right?
Right.
What kind of sick bitch takes the ice cube trays?
I was gonna say this. This is a metaphor which is quite interesting to me, which I appreciate the anecdote because it's a metaphor for human consciousness, right?
Yes.
And it's just beautiful. So that's
My,
what we
my
have.
wife did a couple of things like that. Like I have a huge collection of science fiction novels, right? That I've kept since I was a kid, right?
Oh my.
Right. Or this huge, and she wouldn't let me have them.
Hmm.
No, she's like, that's for you'll say that for our son. I'm like, by the time he's there, the science fiction is going to change, right? I'm sure they're all gone now and tossed away, but they were one of the only things I actually cared about because you go through them and it's like reliving your childhood or your teenage years by reading this huge library of books I had, right? And the same with most of the books. She kept all my. What did she care about? Ben Creveld on war. I mean, what the,
I understand.
you know. And so it's like, what kind of sick bitch keeps the ice cube trays? I mean, women are fucking crazy. Don't take that. You can't. It doesn't make
It's
just
it's not rude. It's merely descriptive.
yes, it's just what it is. Anyway,
They think they're doing good, Curt.
no, women are vengeful creatures.
Men are bad.
Women are evil. God, I hate that.
Sorry, Curt. Stepping on your
Sacred cows.
yes.
I mean, my mother and my grandmother, they're on both of my grandmothers, absolute angels.
Right?
All right. All right. So let's get back to working,
Yes.
because we're almost out of time. Um, maybe we could get a little bit more on this. The scientific revolution converted the mind of man from using many, many discrete but causally unconnected rules to fuel general principles of causality that explain the physical world. The net effect of that revolution was an order of standard deviation and demonstrated intelligence across mankind. Perhaps more importantly, those who benefit from it need not understand the specific paradigm, but benefit from the norms that arise from the general use of the paradigm to adapt the general rules and presumptions. This revolution didn't occur in the behavioral, blah, blah, blah. Boom. This behavioral didn't occur.
Yes.
Um,
There you go.
and so, um,
Lacking this generalization,
mhm.
the development of the behavioral sciences, including
Mm.
psychology, sociology, anthropology.
Go ahead. Never mind.
Psychology, sociology, anthropology.
Don't list them. Just tell me what.
Developed a number of unconnected theories or schools of thought that allowed for the introduction of a number of errors. They do not correspond to one another even, much less reality. Left open the door for the falsehoods, errors, bias, ignorance, errors, bias, and deceits, right?
Mhm.
We might say this is there's a paradigmatic failure, right?
What do you mean?
Disconnection. There's no single unifying paradigm that connects those things,
Mm.
those disciplines. Yes.
I don't, this is all covered, right?
Yes. And that's funny. I would say after necessity, self-defense. This is insight. that distract us from our human destiny, our shared human destiny.
It's fucking beautiful. Jesus, Brad.
That's just Brad. I love you, Curt.
I love you too, but act like I'm complaining. I love when Brad has had good sleep and good patience in the morning before he works with me, because then I get joyful Brad. Joy- And it regards the fact that this ends up teasing me quite a bit. I prefer it to the alternatives.
Right.
Jesus, Brad, this is good. That
Super
was
short.
that was worth 90 minutes. Well, that was
And
worth the whatever it took after the first hour we spent talking trash. Actually, it wasn't trash, it was meaningful.
a cup and a half of coffee.
So we've put it here.
It's beautiful.
This is
I would ask this is I want you to do a search. I want you to look up operational because I want to know when you first mention it in this.
in the document here.
Yes, because it's like because there's operationalism that we're talking about, right? Testimonial, operational truth.
At the end. So we may what
Because
you're
it's
saying.
like there's an operational function that is intrinsic to this all this work, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. Hold on. So we should break down to the components.
I think it should be in that part we just finished.
I'm trying to get there, boss.
I'm sorry, I'm making noise.
No, no, it's okay. I don't think so. I think this is so beautiful that we don't want to touch it. We want to
Okay.
go down to
So I think it should be defined specifically what we mean by operational and operationalism.
yeah, because this is really dense.
Yes, yes. So it needs to be unpacked a little bit. Yes. Operation and fault and testimony and truth, right?
Say that again.
Operations, testimony, and truth, which is relates to correspondence.
Yeah, we've got to define all that. God, this is beautiful. What you're saying is we have to define these things.
And it's quite certain what we're talking about. It's an unambiguous terminology, right? Yes.
Yeah, so we don't. We've got to define these terms.
That's right.
What do we get here?
Falsification should be in there.
Mhm.
Yes. That piece you just made is plus, minus, and equals.
Where?
Keep pulling down, I think. Yeah. Right where your cursor is. Yeah.
You might have to go eat something, Brad.
It's all right. I think we did bang up work today.
We did. Tomorrow, I'd like to finish this. And then
Okay,
I'd like to go back to,
that's what I wanted you to do.
I'd like to go back to here. And I would like to do. Where is you? Where do you be? Come on, I can find, I know you're here somewhere.
Hmm.
It's down here. Down here. There it is. I want to do this. And I want to go
Okay.
back and check, did we actually do it here? Did we actually make the full point? Economics is a standard. Generalized economics is silent. Yeah, okay. All right. Where's the stop share?
Oh, there we are.
Okay. Sorry, I'm running out of gas.
It's all right. It is what it is.
All
I
right.
mean, my mustache wax is still quite fresh, and that's okay. And I just wanted to say this, Curt. Now I've been sitting with you nearly 3 years.
That's
And
right.
and I feel quite competent in this work now.
Yes.
And I'm very pleased about it. It was well worth the effort, and I regard it as absolutely essential function. And I want to thank you for it.
Oh, I love you.
Isn't that nice? But that's before I say, hey, you and you and all you all, do hit like, do hit subscribe. And the notification bell is always nice just for you. And Curt wants to read the messages which talk about my delightful beard.
All right. I have one thing to talk to you about afterwards.
That's
which is,
fine.
about some the something that happened, about what to put on the YouTube site. All right, so we'll talk about that. All right. So
Thanks,
thanks everybody
everybody.
watching. What?
Well, I was thanking everybody when you were thanking everybody too.
Go ahead.
Thanks, everybody.
Great. How do I say bye?
Oh.
Well, I'm almost there.
You could do it, Curt.
Bye.